lost the list. That's a good start. The camera turns on and my mind goes, wah. Good everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Madison Paige and let's just jump into the video. I'm back! I am aware I said several months ago that I was coming back. Several months ago. I lied. It was my intention to come back when I said I was coming back, but then coronavirus happened and the world went to shit and I didn't know what to post because what do you film in quarantine, and posting a normal video felt dumb. So much shit was happening and I felt really stupid sitting down and filming just a regular video like nothing was going on in the world. This video today, if you've seen the title, we need to talk. This video is going to be split into 3 sections. Not 3 parts, this is all one video, but split into the first part. I'm just going to be talking about everything going on in the world, and then the second part I'm going to be talking about racism and colorism as it affects the people in my life, and then the third section of the video, which is the part that I really don't want to do, but I said I would and I feel like I should, is the racist acts that I have committed. Hey, so I just want to clarify that the reason I don't want to talk about it is not because I'm trying to hide that it happened or pretend that it happened. It's more just that I don't like visiting my past. There's a lot of not fun things back there, so I don't like going back. But as I say in the next clip, I felt like I couldn't be talking about race and racism and stuff without taking responsibility for the things that I have done. The reason I'm putting it last is so that it doesn't seem like I'm trying to bury it in the middle of a video. I'm going to try not to include my feelings too much because I don't want to, I'm just going to state the facts, which is what I usually do anyway. What I did, when I did it, because I know some people feel like the when is not as important, they think including how old you were when it happened is making an excuse. I'm not trying to make excuses, I'm trying more to illustrate that I am not like that anymore, if that makes sense. Yeah, I'm just gonna talk and you can form your own opinions. Let's get straight into it. Okay, so I have a list of everything going on in the world right now. I'm not gonna go too in depth with everything because that would be a whole different video in itself. I'm just going to give a sort of a summary, my understanding of the situation. I may be incorrect in some of my understandings, feel free to correct me in the comments. I am going to be trying to get through it kind of fast. 1, because I don't want the video to be too long, and 2, because I already tried filming this and I got kind of worked up. So I'm going to be moving a little bit faster so that hopefully doesn't happen. But here we go. The Black Lives Matter movement is kicking up into high gear. Obviously it didn't start this year, but it is being kicked into high gear following the unfortunate death of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and so many others at the hands of police. Like I said, the Black Lives Matter movement, in just general society against racism, is not new. It has been around for years, but 2020 is the year that everybody's just had enough. I am not a black person and I am not American. Obviously racism still very much exists in New Zealand, but it's subtle and it's less noticeable and mostly people don't get killed. Unfortunately some still do. The resurgence of the Black Lives Matter movement has caused other countries, including New Zealand, to relook at some of their cases of violence against Indigenous people and people of colour. For example, in New Zealand they are relooking into the case of ALOT, who died some years ago after police placed a spit hood over his head. I don't know if they are reopening the case, but they are re-looking into it to see what could have been done differently. And the fact that that is like one case that is making New Zealand go holy shit, and then you look at America and there is one every week. I can't possibly imagine. There is a genocide in China at the moment. Uyghur Muslims are being held in concentration camps. There have been reports of rape and torture and mothers being separated from their children. There is currently a woman seeking asylum in the US who was in one of these camps. She was separated from her children. She was given the dead body of her eldest child. She was abused. She was, I don't know if she personally was forced to eat pork, but there have been reports of people being forced to eat pork. Mosques are being destroyed in China. I'm planning to leave a link tree down below of all of the things that I will be discussing today. Petitions, donations, phone numbers and emails to contact. There is a femicide happening in both Turkey and Mexico. Women are being raped and murdered, some as young as child age. They're not even women yet, and the Yemen crisis is still happening. If you don't know what that is, Yemen is currently in the middle of a civil war. It has been going on for a few years now. If you have been on the internet at all in the last few years, you will have seen the videos of bombings and children skeleton thin, starving. The Palestine-Israel conflict is still happening. Israel is attempting to colonize Palestine, or at least that is my viewpoint. I have done a lot of research on it because I saw people discussing it, and I saw some people saying Team Palestine, Team Israel, Palestine doesn't exist. Then there was the whole other discourse of, does being anti-Israel make you anti-Jewish? Which a lot of people have come to the consensus that no, it doesn't. I just want to make it clear that here I'm talking about specifically Jewish people. Obviously I wasn't going to research this particular situation without listening to Jewish people on and their opinions on the matter, and it was from Jewish people that I learned that the particular people that I was listening to and watching didn't believe being anti-Israel specifically made you anti-Semitic. Obviously the people that I was watching don't speak for all Jewish people, but the majority of Jewish people that I was listening to and watching about the subject said that they felt like you could be critical of what Israel is doing but not be anti-Semitic, if that makes sense. You can be anti-Zionist without being anti-Semitic. Again, I don't really feel like I'm quite the right person to give like a full in-depth discussion about this, so I will be including some people who are more knowledgeable on the subject down below. Protests are still happening all over the world. Hong Kong is still protesting. I believe they are protesting the Chinese government. Again, I may be incorrect. The Hong Kong protests were triggered by the introduction of the Fugitive Offenders Amendment Bill, otherwise known as the Hong Kong Extradition Bill, which would have allowed for extradition to jurisdictions which Hong Kong did not have extradition agreements, including mainland China and Taiwan. Other reasons for the protests are a demand for democratic reform and the fear of losing a high degree of autonomy. Ihumatao is still protesting. They have just gone on a year recently. That protest I know more about. Māori are trying to stop the land from being built on. It's our land. Well, not me specifically, but it's Māori land. I think white people did buy it. They did not. It was confiscated by the government, and then a white family used it for farming for 150 years before they sold it to a housing development building company. But yeah, they've been protesting for a year now to stop the building of, I think it was apartments. There is also a protest to save trees in Canal Road in Auckland, native trees that have been around for years. They were being chopped down and now people are protesting the cutting down of the rest of them. There is currently a man camping in the tree. They've got like a tent hanging from one of the trees. Of course, coronavirus is still going around. I am able to get out of the house now, but I was in lockdown from February to, I think, August, which sucked. It really did. I'm usually a homebody, like I like to stay at home, but I like to have the option to go out. It was the not having the option to go out that was bothering me, but there is currently no COVID cases in my town, so I am able to go out again. A lot of the rest of the world is not as lucky. Hundreds of thousands of people have unfortunately lost their lives over in the US. One state of Australia is currently going absolutely mental with cases, I believe. We got some more in up north. I believe the first reported case was found in South Auckland, which unfortunately people then used as an excuse to be racist to Māori and Pacifica people, which was... Children are still in cages in the ICE detention centres, and now there's reports that they are sterilising women against their will. There has also been reports of gassings happening, but not like in the... I hate that I can say this, not in the traditional sense of gassing people. There have been reports that they have been spraying a a really intense cleaner that you're not supposed to use indoors. They've been spraying that around like every 15 minutes, allegedly, and it has been doing some really harmful things to the people in the camps. So it's not Nazi gassing, but it's still gassing. The Zimbabwe Lives Matter movement has kicked off. It started, gosh, I don't know, I can't remember reading that, but it started because of a corrupt government that is violating human rights. There is an economic crisis, a medicine shortage during a pandemic, a food shortage, people are being arrested for protesting the government, people are being abused in custody after being arrested, some people are just straight up disappearing. So the ZLM movement has kicked off. There is one specific reporter who has been trying to get the word out about what is happening in Zimbabwe. I think I put an article in the link tree. If not, I will try and find that article again and put it in the link tree. Like I said, the link tree has everything that I'm talking about today. And then some other things that I care about too. The Lebanon crisis is still going on. Again, that's a corrupt government. From everything I read, it seems that they are anti-Robin Hooding. So the rich people get richer and the poor people stay poor, and there is no in between. If you're rich, you're rich. If you're poor, you're poor. There's no like middle class. It's literally... And then of course there was the explosion. Belarus has been protesting recently. They've been protesting their corrupt government, and they believe that their last, why was I about to say erection? That their last election was rigged. Thailand has been under dictatorship since 2014, and anyone who speaks up about it has been attacked or has gone missing. The Nile is flooding, so Sudan is almost entirely underwater. Okay, so only about 16 states of Sudan are currently underwater. 102 people are dead, and experts say this is the most severe Nile flooding they've seen in a very long time. And finally, Nova Scotia, Canada. I believe I'm saying this right, again, please feel free to correct me. The Mi'kmaq tribe? New Zealand accents are weird, I'm sorry. They have just been trying to live their lives and fish, as stated in their treaty. However, non-Indigenous racist fishermen have been harassing them, trying to stop them from fishing. They've stolen their traps, they've followed them out into the water and harassed them, steering their boats way too close to the native people's boats, firing flares at the native fishermen. However, there was good news recently. The Navy showed up and basically told them to fuck off. The white people, not the Mi'kmaq tribe. They ordered them to give their traps back, and they are looking into pressing charges against the people who shot the flares. So that is some good news out of everything shit that has been happening. Again, there will be a link tree with all of the information on everything that I just discussed. Please correct me if any of the information that I've just given is wrong. Like I said, I did research on everything I talked about, but I didn't think enough ahead to make more detailed notes that I could summarize. I just made summarized notes, and specific details my memory threw away. In the next part of this video, I'm going to be talking about the racism and colorism that my family has experienced. I'm Māori, my family is Māori. I am clearly a white presenting Māori. I used to say I was part Māori, but then I no longer feel the need to. I've made videos in the past about being Māori, however, a lot of them I talk about being Māori in the context of misconceptions that I had. I talked a lot in my DNA test videos about looking Māori. I talked about how much Māori blood I have. I've been on a journey recently of self-discovery, I guess you could call it, where I have learnt that a lot of what I thought was simply just wrong. I believed you had to look a certain way, you had to speak X amount of te reo, you had to speak X, you had to have X amount of blood in your system, and it's simply just not true. You are Māori if you have Māori whakapapa. That's it. So I am a Māori woman. Plain and simple. However, I'm not an idiot. I'm not delusional. I do not get racism directed at me. I do not get discriminated against in the same way that other Māori people do. I have the privilege of a white person. Being proud to be a Māori woman and claiming my Māori heritage does not mean that I'm trying to pretend like I don't have white privilege or erase the fact that I have white privilege. I think it's important that I look how I look, and I'm proud of where I come from and my culture and my heritage, because I think to do so is using whatever white privilege that I have for good. I've experienced a little bit of colorism, which I'm aware that sounds kind of dumb, but I have experienced like a little bit, mostly from children though, so I feel like I shouldn't take it too personally. I do, which annoys me. But no, I was mostly going to talk about family members who have experienced racism and colorism, specifically my mum and my aunt. My mum has mentioned that she and all of her siblings grew up not feeling welcomed by either community. They have one Māori parent, one white parent, and they grew up feeling not part of either community at all. One of my aunties remembered growing up being called by her cousins, of all people, a maggot because she was lighter than they were. My mum remembers trying to be friends with white kids and them calling her dirty, so she tried to be friends with Māori kids and they told her she wasn't Māori enough. And so now my mum specifically, as an adult, because she felt rejected by both communities, she now rejects both communities, if that makes sense. She doesn't consider herself a white lady and she doesn't consider herself a Māori lady. She doesn't feel like she fits anywhere, and that makes me really sad. As far as outward, like, aggressive racism, I remember one specific experience when my mum was pulled over with my brother and I in the car. He thought he saw something that he didn't. My brother was handing me gum in the back seat, and the cop thought he was seeing him put his seatbelt on. But the thing that stands out to me is when he got to the car, right off the bat he was like really rude and like unnecessarily aggressive. By New Zealand standards. Obviously I know there are worse cops in other countries. Hell, there are worse cops in other parts of New Zealand. And Mum was trying to calmly like explain what actually happened. And from what I remember, he kept like cutting her off or like replying in like a really condescending tone. But the thing that stands out to me is that he'd be really like rude to her and to my brother on the front seat, and then he'd peek around to me in the back seat and he'd be like really nice. Like he'd be condescending and rude to Mum and Ethan, and then be like, "Hi sweetie, how are you doing? How's your day going?" Eventually he left. We went about our way. I remember even then thinking it was super weird. My mind obviously didn't go to racism because I was a child. But now I look on it and think, huh, the only difference between me and my mum and my brother is they are brown and I'm not. Now for the final part of the video. I'm gonna go from appropriation to more like active racism. The way I said that just then kind of makes it sound like I think one is worse than the other. They're both bad, just to be clear. So starting with appropriation, I was part of that annoying group of girls that decided that bindi was a fashion trend. I did not know the cultural significance of bindi. I just thought it looked cute, so I wore it with all of my outfits for like a week. Obviously I have done my research now and I'm so embarrassed. I have not done it since I was like 16, and any photos of me with it are no longer on the internet and no longer exist. Not because I'm trying to like pretend it never happened, obviously I'm here talking to you about it, but because I don't stand by it anymore and I don't want things that I don't stand by on the internet. I have deleted everything that I no longer stand by. Most of it was me oversharing on the internet. Something I still do, but yeah. I also collect dream catchers, which from what I've learnt is not in itself cultural appropriation. It depends on the context and the circumstances. As for context, apart from the dream catcher on my keys and in my car, which I've since gotten rid of, I do use them for their intended purpose. They are all hanging above my bed. I used to get really intense nightmares. I used to dream that I was being murdered. They were really kind of awful. However, since I started collecting dream catchers, I don't get those kind of nightmares anymore. I still get like the occasional dumb one where like I'm presenting something to a group of people and I'm naked and they're all laughing at me. But as far as like the really violent, awful nightmares, I don't get those anymore. However, as far as I know, none of my dream catchers were made authentically by a Native American person. I got most of them from traveller fairs and the rest I got from spiritual shops. However, I have been making a conscious effort recently to buy from Indigenous artists. For example, I have this. This is Friends in Te Reo, which is the native language of the Māori people. I got it from the Hori shop. That will be linked down below. I also have these. This is takatapui, which is the Māori umbrella term for like the LGBT community. I love them. They're ginormous. They're not like, I normally wouldn't wear earrings this big, but I really like them. I got them from a company called Waiapu Road. I got period undies from Awa. Oh, out! I got this from Miriama Grace Smith. Titten would like to say hello. He got hit by a car recently, but he's doing okay, eh? I got this one from Māori Mermaid. It's still in the envelope because I haven't gotten a frame for it yet. I got stickers from Shay Illustrate. I'll put a photo of the one that's on my computer here. But yeah, I'm already trying to improve upon myself and my actions, because buying from Indigenous people, it was simply not something I thought about before, but it should have been, you know? And the only reason I'm not getting rid of those is because I'm genuinely terrified that I'm going to have nightmares again. But from now on, I will be continuing my collection with authentic dream catchers by Native American people. From the ages of 8 to 12, a lot of my humour was racial stereotype jokes, usually about people of Asian descent. I want to make it clear that I've never said a racial slur in my life. I know that is literally the bare minimum, but it's important to me that you know that. But I did occasionally use like accent humour and just general stereotype jokes. I'm not going to repeat any now. One, because I don't really remember any. My memory issues are kind of weird. I remember things happened, but I don't remember like specific details or moments. And two, because then I would just be repeating the offence. It's like apologising for saying a slur while saying the slur in your apology. It undoes everything. And finally, this is the one I don't want to talk about, not just because it's racist, but also because it's really embarrassing. Not that it matters how embarrassed I feel, because I can only imagine how embarrassed and awful the person that I did this to felt. I went through a phase when I was 14, like a week-long phase, where I pretended to be psychic. So not only was I racist, I was also offending actual psychics. I wasn't charging people for readings. I was odd, but not like a dick in that regard. I was mostly only doing readings for people that I knew, and I was using the stuff that I knew about them to come up with these readings. But one day, a classmate came up and asked for a reading. I was kind of the butt of everyone's jokes back then, rightfully so. I was weird. And so they came up to ask for a reading as like a joke. And I did not know this person very well. We'd been at the same school for like a couple years, but always on opposite sides of the school, always in different classes. We didn't have any friends in common. So everything I knew about this person was what was standing directly in front of me. And everything was like okay, or like as okay as it can be when you're pretending to be a psychic. I said this person would get married at like 25 and that they'd have 2 kids and they'd do this and do that. And then it came to the job, and this person was again of Asian descent. And before anybody asks, I don't know why all of these things that I was doing and saying were to people of Asian descent. I don't know. I don't have a problem with people of Asian descent. I don't think I did then either. I don't know. I don't have a reason that I can give you, and there are no excuses. And I said that they would have a very stereotypical job. And I wish I could say that I didn't think about it, but unfortunately I did. I thought about it enough to clarify that they were not a worker at this stereotypical job. They were the owner. And they barely spent any time there. They just picked up their paycheck and left. And I said this all completely confident, like it made it better. But it didn't! And this person called me out for being racist, and I reacted poorly. 'Cause I suck. I'm not saying that to be manipulative, by the way. I genuinely just was, like, kind of an awful person back then. I never ended up apologising, because one, I was embarrassed. 2, we weren't friends, like I said. I think I thought that they wouldn't give a shit if I apologised. And now it's been almost 10 years, so it would be kind of weird. I don't think they watch my videos, or if they do, it's definitely like as a joke. But if you do, I'm so sorry. That's everything I can think of. Like I said, I haven't done any of those things since I was at most 16. Again, I'm not saying my age to try and use it as an excuse, but to illustrate how much I'm not that person anymore. If I wanted to make an excuse, I could say something like I grew up in a time where that sort of thing was funny, or those kind of jokes were accepted. But the point is they shouldn't have been, because they weren't funny then and they're not funny now. Like, they never should have, that time period should not have existed, you know? But yeah, I haven't been purposefully racist since then. I say purposefully because there are still chances that I've accidentally said something that I can't remember, that I will accidentally say something. I'm still learning and growing, and there's a solid chance I'll make a mistake somewhere along the way, but I'm trying really, really hard not to. I am educating myself every option that I get. I am evolving and growing, and I'm beyond ashamed of all of that. It's in the past, but it's still here, like, all of the time. Because I see all of those things that I listed at the start of this video, and they make me really sad. But when I get really angry is when I think of myself being a perpetrator in that system of racism. Like I say, I am trying my absolute best to never do or say anything like that ever again. And yeah, thank you everybody for watching this video. I'm not gonna say anything like I hope you enjoyed it, because that's dumb. I'm gonna be back to posting normal content soon, and like actually back this time. Not like in February when I said I was coming back and then I didn't. I'm actually coming back this time. I just didn't want to come back without having said anything. So now I've said something. So I'll be back to posting normal content. That's it. I hope you don't judge me too poorly. If you do, I get it. I think that's it. I'll see you next time. Bye.